In this video, I'm going to prove to you that my gaming table is going to be the world's most immersive gaming table. Now, when I say that, I bet the first thing that comes to mind is those deluxe crafted gaming tables with large areas for terrain, with cup holders and tablets and minis and all sorts of cool features. For 8 years, I have been striving to create a play experience that's intimate and immersive for the players at my table, but also really immersive for content. And today I'm going to take that to new levels. Now I'm really excited to upgrade my setup in massive ways. So join me in this far too highly produced and over-resourced video where I take you through cleaning up and upgrading my tabletop roleplay setup, because I'm a huge nerd and it's my birthday and I do what I want. Let's go.
Now, I'm not starting from scratch. As you can see, I have a very complex and very messy setup that I'm working from. So first order of business is unraveling all the cables, clearing all the mess and taking the table out so I can relay a brand new foundation that'll be more immersive than ever. I carefully mapped out all of the places I wanted to cable manage, cut some holes, patched up some of the older holes, and suspended a mesh basket I cut in half and put on both sides underside the table that I could put all the cables and power plugs in. The center of the table, and one of the reasons I wanted to get all those cables out of the way, is so we can have a turntable with modular terrain that we can easily swap in and out, creating a really dynamic opportunity for scene changes, set piece, and really epic, dramatic, immersive environments. So I modded this awesome turntable I had that I found at a local flea market by laser cutting an edge that would perfectly frame some discs that I could cut multiples of to sit nicely inside. Basically, the turntable would be a terrain disc holder. Now, Dave had a stroke of genius when I was showing him what I was working on and reminded me of all these neoprene gaming mats that we had lying in storage. So we laser cut those to the same size of the interior disc so we have a variety of easy and versatile terrain bases, but that's really just a fallback. But my favorite, and the thing I always want to make and use, is more realistic terrain. Let's start off with something really simple here. Basing it with a mix of glue and paint, slopping that on top thick enough so I can sprinkle a variety of flocks on top. The color will be accentuated and of course it'll stick to the glue and soak in and provide a really stable playing base, more realistic and satisfying terrain. Meanwhile, over in Tabletop Town, Murray from Tabletop Time is sanding the tabletop. Alright, enough of the tabletop tour, it's time for terrain.
So we have a turntable that perfectly fits both the neoprene mat cuts and a real terrain disc. It is criminal how awesome and quick you can make terrain, like, well, way better than that. Sculpt a mold, chuck in a bunch of water, bit of glue. I like to mix it in with paint, 3.5 ploops of it, bit of green, about 3 waggles, and just a glob of black. There you go. The glue in the mix is going to help it harden and be really For the road, we're going to have a bit more of a brown base. That's all you need. We pick our areas and we put down our toppings. Bam! That took 5 minutes. Fast forward to tomorrow when we clear off the excess. All right, just like that, we're all dry. Now we're going to bring it all together. And I have 2 terrain discs, so we're going to do a bunch more of these, but before we do that, I've got a bunch of tech to set up, so let's get to work. This is the centerpiece of it all, and it's been years in the making, and it's more complicated than I have time to explain in this video. Suffice it to say that it all started with one goal: keep it immersive at the table with the players, bring the audience in directly in the game. The prototype of this setup started many years ago with 4 webcams that were between the 4 players directly above eye level so that the players can see each other and interact at an intimate gaming table, but the viewers of the content are also feeling like they're getting eye contact from each individual player. Fast forward to when I brought Tabletop Time back, Blackmagic very kindly provided us with these cameras and the switches and everything I needed to take it to the next level. Add green screens so that rather than every player being on a separate camera feed, I can blend them all into one combined environment. So that's what I'm doing now.
I need to build the whole setup from the ground up, but I wanted to take the time to make the most solid foundation for the most immersive roleplay streams and podcasts you could imagine. And honestly, it's more immersive when you're playing, when you see yourself in a world that you're role-playing in, and when you see the characters that you're role-playing as and with. Minis are cool, but the added dimension of custom art for all of our characters is a luxury I have never seen pulled off in any roleplay content, no matter how high quality. Murray and Amy got stuck into helping me out with all these discs, getting it all started so that I can come in and add the final touches later. At the end of the day, we want all of these boards to be as versatile as possible in terms of how we can use them. It's not always going to represent one place. We often want these to be able to represent different scenes and places that we can furnish with different props to make them feel entirely new and different every time we change environment or scene.
All right, really solid foundation, and some of this cracking that just happened organically because of this stuff we hadn't used before drying, amazing actually. But it looks a little pristine, which is where our old friend, the color compound, comes back in. Then a little bit of a spray and it's totally done. It already looks quite dusty, but I just want to give it a slight variety of color, fill in some of these cracks, and it's got to be patchy, you know. We want it to look organic, like different streets have different effects from people walking or shit on it. I don't know. Of course, first things first, a little bit of our dusty pigment. So the last thing I'm going to do is take this Mod Podge. This is glossy Mod Podge. Just do that. Just a bit of. So in theory, I've never done this before, that will dry clear and look like a lovely dock or canal or something. I don't know, let's find out what it looks like. Unfortunately, I don't have to touch this monstrosity of a camera and lighting setup because I did that on my last birthday last year.
Happy birthday to me.
But as you can tell, I am obsessed with gear and constructing really functional rigs. As a result, over the years, I've become familiar with brands that I like and don't like, and Newer is the brand that I find and associate most with affordability and really high quality for what you pay. So much so that I asked them to send me a bunch of gear in exchange for shouting them out, and they did, and for my birthday, I got a whole bunch of free stuff. Thanks, Newer. So here's the shout out. You can get 20% off of Newer items, and they cover a lot. Quick edit, they're actually already running a 20% off spring sale, but I said our deal's gotta beat that, so it's 21% off. So my deal's better. Links in the description. So from infield monitors to RGB lighting, production rig equipment, shoulder rigs, you can get 20% off using code JAZZA. Go check them out, link in the description. Meanwhile, at the tech station, I've been working on this actually for weeks and been putting it all together, and having built everything from the ground up and finally having things working really smoothly, I am a happy, happy boy. Let me give you a really brief tour. Aside from polishing up the screens and having built everything from scratch, I can swap between my screen modes. This is the one with a storytelling screen, so I can change the character that everyone's talking to and that appears on screen. Look at our awesome artwork finally getting a chance to shine really easily. And I can change my environment with the press of a button, both the environment behind the players and the characters. So all of that's done and really, really nice. And I can also finally very easily switch to our camera, which is our mini cam. So as you can see, this is a live view of the tabletop. This is where our turntable will come in useful. And it's the biggest thing actually is that it's all seamless. This is a really fun extra thing. Like if I ever really want to get in there close to the action, there's this app that immediately streams from my phone into OBS. So I can bring people to the tabletop, literally the tabletop, and be like, hey, look, it's that guy. How cool is that? And I've also split into two stream decks, so the camera switching takes place on one and the other is my sound effects stream deck. That's kind of it. The whole, the moral of the story, the big. You do. I think there's only one thing that's going to finish it off and make it perfect. Having it not look like dog shit.
Finally, it's time to enjoy the fruits of many years' labour to make this come to life. Starting off with all of the minis that we've painted over the years that can finally find a home on these shelves that we haven't had the time to justify putting together properly. I get to be selfish on my birthday by working on this stuff that we've been longing to really make our roleplay spaces special and refined as we want to enjoy. Roleplay is one of the things I'm most passionate about. With the newly stained and cleaned up table, it's time to add a few more finishing touches such as cup holders, headphone holders, and the piece de resistance, the terrain turntable. Welcome to the unlimited worlds of our collective imaginations.
I'd know that smell anywhere. Oh, here we go again.
And the large head cranes towards you, its cataract-filled eye loosely focusing on the area that you were all standing.
Rusty, where is my home deposit? Listen, it didn't seem to matter to you at the time, so we took it, and it was admittedly a bad idea. We regret it, and while we can't return it because we spent it on ale, it seems like you've helped yourself to a meal of our friend and ravaged our cart, so let's call it even, shall we? That was my favorite treasure!
With a bellowing roar.
Wait. You had other treasure?
The tavern's people and the town folk are dancing and singing merrily to a single music player with his lute, and they all seem to be a cheerful folk, free of worry. But as your presence becomes known, all eyes slowly lock on you. Conversation stops until even the lute player falls silent. The bartender stares at you with cold eyes.
Oi, members only. I think this is the town we have a reputation in.
What reputation?
They talk about you all the time, man. You don't
Talk about me?
Yeah, they say really mean things about you in particular.
I've come to the wrong place.
I have a reputation for being a ladies' man.
Hops is going to take a big step towards this gentleman, and then he's going to do this. He's going to go, what does he smell like?
The gentleman's... okay, and I'm rolling a perception. I got 6!
Yeah.
The rapid whir of mechanisms track emanate from this machine, the large drone, as its torso rotates, not fast enough to chase Pro through the barricade, and as he slips out of sight, indiscriminately this machine looses a shell. And as they get out of your sight and into the distance, you hear the echo of screams as high fragmentation rounds start hitting.
I hope you enjoyed that very little taste test as to what we can now do in terms of making our sessions really immersive content for you and really immersive to us as we play, seeing our characters, hearing the world come to life. I am really excited to take this opportunity to let some of you know what's coming up with our roleplay channel. Because on Tabletop Time Roleplay, we're on the tail end of the reboot Cyberpunk series, but it is coming to a close, which means in about a month, we're picking up on some new massive projects. The first thing is gonna be a micro campaign. We're gonna meet some new faces and play in a D&D setting, really classic but very fun, relaxed roleplay for some of you who are less familiar with our content to jump on board. Following that, we are gonna run a Pokemon mini campaign where we create our own own Pokemon trainers and some starter Pokemon of our own invention. We're gonna do a multi-channel collab. So Insert Art will help do our art for our characters. And we're going to enter the world of Pokemon and do Pokemon battles and all sorts of things over the course of maybe 8 to 10 episodes of that mini campaign. That will be really fun, but what I'm most excited for is what's gonna come after. And this is the first we've said any of it anywhere. I'm excited to announce that we're working on a major campaign that we're starting from scratch in a world we're calling Lucha Vera, which is going to take place in a world that I guess if you could imagine the high Renaissance when Da Vinci was inventing his machines and ideas. In this world, those machines and ideas are the kind of thing that work. Like steampunk but earlier, so Renaissance punk. We've just been getting started with Tabletop Time roleplay. Even though this has been in progress for over 8 years, we are just about to start some of the most immersive and intense content. But if you like the sound of some of that and like what you've seen here, go subscribe to Tabletop Time Roleplay. And if you're feeling very kind and generous, consider becoming a patron. Our patrons make it possible. And we have the best community. We actually stream every week an after party after our main roleplay stream where we answer questions directly and hang out with our community. We love you guys. I hope you've enjoyed being taken through this vision. Really, this video is about what's possible. And now a lot more is possible. Thanks for joining my selfish little venture into my selfish little worlds. Until next time, I'll see you later.